Okay, Chair Smith, we're ready to begin.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the regularly scheduled HRC meeting.
Recording in progress.
Well, this is not the regularly scheduled. Let me start over. I would like to welcome everybody to the special meeting on Tuesday, May 24th, 2020 for the Human Relations Commission of the City of Palo Alto. At this time, I would like to call to order, and staff, if we could please do roll call.
Vice Chair Eberly.
Here.
Commissioner Kraus.
Here.
Commissioner Wageer.
Here.
Commissioner Savage.
Here.
Chair Smith.
Present. Thank you so much. At this time, do we have any public comments? Public comments will pertain to items that are not on the agenda this evening. Do we have any public comments, staff?
Yes, we do. We have one person in the chambers, and we will invite him to the desk right now to give a comment. Mr. Allen?
Sure.
So my colleague will give you the information on how to do it. So does he need to press it in?
No, he doesn't have to use the microphone.
Okay.
Just start talking.
So you will have 3 minutes. It's going to be there and behind you. So go ahead, sir.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Sean Allen. I am a candidate for sheriff here in Santa Clara County. I was born and raised here in Palo Alto at Stanford Hospital. I'm a native. That makes me a native of Santa Clara County. I've spent the last 32 years working for the sheriff's office, a lot of that in custody, but I've worked all over the agency and spent a great deal of time with a focus on teaching law enforcement to law enforcement officers or prospective candidates. That and running police unions. We have 3 unions in our organization. I ran the largest one and I ran the smallest one, which is comprised of supervisors and managers presently. The idea around my campaign is it's pretty simple. It's to provide the county with the best public safety we possibly can provide, in addition to what I call ART, accountability, responsibility, and transparency. And of course, one of the most prevalent issues today is our unhoused community, our people challenged with mental illness and substance abuse. I want to share with you all a little bit of my experiences in terms of law enforcement. And I spent from the mid 90s to the early 2000s about 1 to 2 days a week working up here at Stanford. So I work closely with your agency here in Palo Alto, and whether it was patrol or a number of other community related events and sports and so on and so forth. But I can tell you that dealing in police work from that day back then into now is totally different. One of the things I pride myself on is talking about what I call the elephant in the room, and that is crossing the thin blue line and addressing those issues that we as law enforcement officers do not want to talk about and share with the public. So being inclusive is my idea. Without public input, without the public having a teeth into the direction of law enforcement and us not inviting them in, we're never going to have achieve, I should say, rational solutions and smart solutions. Because we as law enforcement, we don't want people from the outside judging us or critiquing us on our performance. And that's the exact opposite of what we need today. So, we have a bunch of people who, I always say this, that we're leading leading law enforcement organizations with tons of education, and they're failing. And we have people in our organizations that have PhDs and they're at the lowest level and they can't elevate. But the idea is law enforcement has smart conversations and smart resolutions with all individuals from all backgrounds. In order to do that, we need change. So I represent that change. I want to introduce myself to you all today. I am on the internet and I am available for questions at any time. I share things, I'm very transparent. I share things with the media that I can. I won't violate anyone's rights because that would go against my oath, but I am completely transparent and I'm not anything else. But thank you today. Thank you for.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We have 2 members. Thank you, Mr. Allen. We have 2 members of the public, but then I need to be a co-host so I can do it. So if the folks attending remotely can just have a moment of patience. Okay. So first we have Mr. Aram James. Aram, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
So I wanted to talk about Sean Allen. About, I'd say 6 to 8 weeks ago, I made a cold call to his website. He returned my call. We started to talk about police practice issues that are important to me and the community. As a public defender, of course, he worked in the jails, the same jails where my clients were housed for the many years I worked there, and how critical it is to care for my clients in a compassionate way. And also they transport clients, among the many other duties of the Sheriff's Department, to court and make certain clients are dressed out for trial and many other things. I can't tell you how impressed I've been with Mr. Allen. We've spent, I would say, at least 4 or 5 hours over the last several months talking about police practices. Also was lucky enough to attend a talk that, and I can't see the clock, by the way, so I'd like to kind of get an idea of how much time I have to talk, but went to a journalism class with Sean Allen where he spoke to a full class of young journalism students at Valley High School. Everybody there asked extremely intelligent questions. I'm talking about the students. He was remarkably well received. Everybody seemed to respond to the level of intelligence and experience and his vision, his integrity, his courage, his boldness. He's done the job. He's sued the county for discrimination, himself and two female deputies, and prevailed in that. He does for the tune of $800,000. He won't allow corruption in the jail. He's known by other deputies as being a man of integrity. I can tell you that there's been nothing but integrity. He's come over and visited my family, spent hours here on the couch in my little office, again, talking about police practices issues. I would say to Commissioner Emberly, if you want to talk anything to do with criminal justice issues, the courtroom, talk to Sean Allen. Do I think he would make a great sheriff? Yes, I do. So I recommend that you scrutinize his candidacy closely. I can't say it any better than Sean said for himself tonight. He's a great speaker. He connects with people. He's committed to equality in law enforcement. Like I said, he's bold. We went out to protest the possible reversal of Roe versus Wade. We went to two different demonstrations a couple of Saturdays ago. He's clearly pro-choice. People were drawn to him. It was a great experience. We've done some other events as well together, and I've got to see him up close and personal. Thank you very, very much. Support Sean Allen for sheriff.
Thank you. The next public speaker is Rebecca Eisenberg. Rebecca, go ahead. You have 3 minutes. Oops, sorry, Rebecca. I had to hit one more. Wait. Are you there, Rebecca?
I'm here. Thank you so much.
I got it.
Thanks so much. And thanks to the commission for allowing this time. As always, I share my mentor, Aram James's enthusiasm about Mr. Allen, although I also very much respect another candidate, Christine, whose last name I'm forgetting. So, but that isn't what I came here to talk about. I came here, although that is an important discussion, I came here to beg for your support or your assistance, and normally this is what Aram talks about, but I'm taking the gun this time and running with it because I believe this just as strongly. I'm asking for your assistance in getting the city council to listen to our repeated requests for transparency in the hiring of the next police chief. As we know, in many areas, our city council, like many organizations, has not done the kind of background checking and reference checking that really is helpful. In my opinion, essential when you're looking at hiring important positions. That was definitely the case with our current police chief, Mr. Johnson, who, like him or not, has definitely been involved with a number of high-profile lawsuits relating to a number of avoidable tragedies, violence done mostly to people of color in our community. And I think it's entirely appropriate that the selection of the next police chief be conducted in an open and transparent way. I think that we need to ensure that people of color, especially African Americans, who tend to be the far overrepresented in the groups of people who are victims of police brutality, and in particular police shootings, we should absolutely prioritize considering at least one African American candidate. I believe we need to consider at least one female candidate. One of the least reported crimes is if not the very least reported crime, is the crime of sexual assault of police officers against women that they are pulling over at traffic, or in other words, have in a potential arrest type situation. Abuse of power. And I think that abuse of power actually in general tends to be a unreported crime because victims often experience it with a lot of shame. So we should make sure that they are prioritizing interviewing and considering minority, female, or non-binary, non-male candidates. It's crucial. Most importantly, please help make this process transparent. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the public speakers, Chair.
Thank you so much, staff. All right. All right, do we have any agenda changes, additions, and deletions? Yes, there's Commissioner McGear.
We just change our first item to include the city today, Uvalde, as one of the victims instead of just the two that we have.
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
That's fair. Anything else? Do it. Okay. Can we approve the minutes for April 28th, 2022? Have people had an opportunity to review it? I'll take a motion. Yes.
Motion, and we need a second.
I'll second it. Oh,
Thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Vice Chair Everly,
aye.
Commissioner Kraus,
Aye.
Commissioner McGear,
Aye.
Commissioner Savage.
Aye.
Chair Smith, aye. Thank you. Item number one. Over the past 2 weeks, we have been faced with sustained tragedies in our country, from the tragic act of domestic terrorism in Buffalo that 10 lives were lost at a supermarket, to someone going into a Taiwanese church and because of hate opening fire and killing a pastor, and to today where we now have 14 reported dead, 14 students, 1 teacher reported dead at the incident. We would want to take a moment of silence, but before we do that, I will open for public comment, and then we will do a moment of silence. Do we have any public comments, staff?
I have one name, Chair.
Please let them speak.
Okay, I'll wait for my colleague to put up the clock. Okay. Rebecca, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I absolutely share I know I speak for everyone when I say our pain and outrage, sadness, and feelings of depression as we continue to hear of more and more mass shootings, especially mass shootings of children, especially mass shootings of Black people, other people of color, seniors. It is horrible. but I, I, I'm pretty opposed to the moments of silence. I don't think that prayer and thoughts are going to help here. Some of you may know, I'm a fairly religious person. I am a pretty loyal and observant in my own way Jewish woman. And my mother was co-founder of Milwaukee Jewish Day School. She also is a teacher of Hebrew and Judaica all throughout her teaching history, including my Hebrew teacher at my public high school. My father from an Orthodox family. I was always raised with the extraordinarily important rule that we judge others and ourselves by our actions. It is actions that determine the makeup of a person, not words, actions. So I think that our country, our world has pretty much tried the thoughts and prayers thing, and it has failed. I think I personally think that making progress and making changes, like we saw last night at City Council with Castellea, some progress where the community was heard, that feels so good. And I think we all owe it to ourselves to, instead of having quiet time, to strategize. What are we going to do here to make a difference? Here in Palo Alto, a very public city, one of the wealthiest communities on earth, we are looked at. For us to even make a proclamation of an action, not of an emotion, saying we are going to ban all guns. We are going to take a stand on gun control. We're going to go past so-called reasonable gun control into significant gun control. We are going to start our actions towards gun control by making this action locally. For example, guns are no longer allowed in Palo Alto. For example, the police no longer will be allowed to carry guns except for in very limited circumstances. Let's act. We can't stand this anymore. Let's do something. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more public speakers.
As we take a moment of silence to remember those that have passed, those that no longer will be with their family, those that no longer will have holidays or birthdays, as we shed tears and remember. Remembering those that are lost are some of the most powerful things we could do. I remember going to Israel, Michelle, and go to Yad Vashem and walking out to the very end. And they said, you always should remember those that are lost. And let us remember. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. The next item will be our report on the Cdpg from staff.
Yes, so I'd like to invite to speak my colleague Claire Campbell from the Planning and Community Development Department, and I believe she will introduce Maria, our consultant. So go ahead, Claire.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Claire Campbell. I'm the Manager of Long Range Planning. And tonight we have Maria Gallegos, who is a consultant with Michael Baker International. And she's going to start us off with a presentation for our discussion tonight. Thank you. Yeah, Maria, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, it would be helpful if I turn on my mic. I do apologize. Okay. Okay.
And you'll start your
So now
slide.
yes. Can you see the slide?
We can
There we
see.
go.
Yeah, there we go.
Great. Okay. Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for giving me the opportunity in presenting to you this evening the amendment to the city's Cdbg Citizen Participation Plan. Staff is proposing minor amendments to the existing Citizen Participation Plan. The proposed changes are focused on clarifying the review procedures for the primary tasks associated with the administration of the Cdbg program. Following the HRC's recommendation, staff will forward the draft Citizen Participation Plan to the City Council for review and approval. Cdbg is the principal federal program providing localities with grants to improve the physical, economic, and social conditions in their communities. As a jurisdiction that receives federal funds from HUD, the city is required to have a citizen participation plan. Staff is proposing minor amendments to the existing citizen participation plan, which was last updated in 2020. The proposed plan amendments provide clarification on the review procedures for the primary tasks associated with the administration of the Cdbg program. HUD requires Cdbg recipient agencies to prepare and implement a plan that provides adequate opportunity for citizens to participate in an advisory role in the planning, implementation, and assessment of the Cdbg program. And the components the plan applies to the following: the consolidated plan, which is a strategic 5-year plan that identifies priority housing and community development needs and sets forth a strategy to address those needs. The annual action plan, a report to identify specific projects to be funded to implement the goals and objectives identified in the consolidated plan, typically submitted to HUD in May. The comprehensive annual performance and evaluation report, prepared at the end of each program year to review and report on the goals and objectives achieved with the annual grant allocations, typically submitted to HUD in September. Substantial amendments are modifications to the annual action plan and comp plan that meet the threshold of substantial change. The citizen participation plan provides for and encourages citizens to participate in the development of the city's consolidated plan, annual action plan, the substantial amendments to the consolidated plan or annual action plan, and the performance reports, which is the CAPER. The assessment of fair housing is an analysis of fair housing issues for the city and region that results in goals that the program participant sets forth to achieve over the program participants' coming consolidated planning cycle. The existing 2020 Citizen Participation Plan details the roles and responsibilities of the City Council, public, staff, and the HRC. The City Council sets policy priorities and approves the overall Cdbg grant allocations. Based on HUD's requirements per 24 CFR 91.105, a public hearing provides the public the opportunity to respond and or comment to a report that is being publicly noticed. Staff will provide timely notification of hearings and meetings so that citizens and other interested parties may attend and comment. Notice of the date, time, place, and agenda of the public hearings will be advertised at least 14 days prior to the hearing in a local newspaper and on the city's webpage. The proposed plan amendments provide clarification on the review procedures for the above-mentioned Cdbg elements. The existing plan provides overall direction but lacks specifics. For all significant actions for the Cdbg program, The City Council is the approving body, while the HRC has a role in reviewing and providing recommendations to Council. At a minimum, every year the City will have hearings on the Annual Action Plan and CAPER. Oftentimes, the City will have additional public hearings associated with other items listed above. The existing plan specifies that the City Council conduct 2 public hearings per fiscal year at different stages of the program year. Staff recommends revising the Council review to 1 public hearing, such as an action item, for the review and approval of the Annual Action Plan for the Cdbg allocations prior to the end of the program year, which is June 30th. 1 formal City Council meeting is consistent with past practices of the last 7+ years. The existing plan specifies that the HRC will hold at least 1 public hearing to review and comment on the proposed Cdbg funding allocations for the Annual Action Plan. Staff recommends revising the HRC review to public hearings. The first one would be for the annual review and comment on the proposed Cdbg funding allocations for the Annual Action Plan. The second public hearing would be held at the end of the program year to comment on the CAPER. These 2 meetings with the HRC reflects past practices of the last 7+ years. For other tasks such as the substantial amendments, the consolidated plan, the citizen participation plan, and the assessment of fair housing, the reviews are not changing from what is currently specified in the plan. The clarifications proposed are for the placement of items on the Council agenda. For streamlining purposes, the consent agenda is recommended by staff for the substantial amendments and the citizen participation plan. This placement continues to provide the public the opportunity to speak to the item on the agenda and provide comments, and Council can elect to pull the item off consent if additional discussion is desired. An advertisement was published in the Daily Post on May 9th, announcing the availability of the draft plan for public review and comment. The draft plan was posted on the city's website and was made available for public review and comment from May 10th through May 24th. Additionally, the notice also provided details of the HRC public hearing. Staff recommends this evening the Human Relations Commission recommend to the City Council adopt the proposed amendments to the Community Development Block Grant Citizen Participation Plan as reflected in Attachment A of your packet. This concludes my presentation for this evening, and staff and I are available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
You're on mute, Chair.
Sorry. We will start tonight with each commissioner having 3 minutes, 1 round robin, 3 minutes total, including the response from staff. If we need to go to a second round robin, we'll do that. And then we will open for public comments. Sorry, let me slow down. Let us open for public comments first. I'm 1 step too early. Thank you.
I will, and I ask for the patience of the folks that are public comments. My colleague Vin had to step away because there is another commission meeting happening in the same room. So I don't have the ability to get up the clock, but I will just in my screen go when you have 2 minutes left and 1 minute left, and I hope you will be understanding. So are there any public comments regarding the Cdbg item? I don't see any, so go ahead, Chair.
All right. We will start with commissioner comments. We'll start at the top of the alphabet. Each commissioner has 3 minutes. The 3 minutes also includes a response from staff.
Okay, and I will also be doing 2 minutes, 1 minute for the commissioners as well. So
thank you, staff.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Epperly.
Thank you for the presentation. I just have a quick question. I just want to understand, you're recommending that instead of that the HRC, instead of having one hearing, has two hearings. And one of them is for the annual, the AAP, the annual action plan. So basically one would be in the beginning and then one at the end to see how the plan worked out. That's my understanding, so that there are two tasks to be done. Is that correct?
Yes, so I can respond. So we've, if you've noticed, we've actually been doing all of this already. And what we're trying to do is just kind of clean it up a little bit in our citizen participation plan. So it's just a little bit simpler for everyone to understand what the expectation is. So yes, we want to have it documented that the HRC has a public hearing for the annual action plan, which we do all the time around March. And then also for the CAPER report that we have to do every year. And that's a reflection of the previous year's progress on how things have gone. So 2 meetings.
Okay, would they be held in the same day or they would have to be separate days?
They're completely separate, yeah.
Okay, one would be in March and when would the other one be?
The CAPER, I don't recall off the top of my head. I think it's after, so it's the end of the fiscal year. So maybe early fall, perhaps, something like that. I can't remember the timeline that we usually do, maybe September-ish, something like that.
Okay. And in the past, you were doing both things at the March meeting?
Oh, no. We've always done them separately.
Oh,
We've always done
okay.
them separately at different times of the year.
Okay, I'm a little confused then still, because I thought from the chart that she showed that it went from one hearing to 2 hearings. That was the amendment.
Right. So in the text of the citizen participation plan, it says simply that there shall be one hearing by the HRC. That's all it really says.
Okay.
So we're clarifying that the hearings are actually, since we've been doing it already, one's going to be for the action plan, and the second is actually going to be for the CAPER. And we're just trying to document what we've already been doing over these many years.
I understand now. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Kraus.
I had the same question, and I'm delighted that you've explained them to us, Claire. Thank you. Now, the question is there a need for anything further, given your knowledge base of how this is run? Do we need 3?
I feel I don't think we need additional meetings. I feel like actually we do probably a lot of meetings for the work that we're doing. So I don't think we need additional meetings for what we're doing.
Okay. And then the other question, I think Commissioner Everly and I had a meeting with staff member Minka and you, and we made recommendations. I don't think we ever heard if they were accepted or if they moved forward. And I know that you, Claire, I believe, were the final say.
Well,
so, to clarify?
Minka, is now the right time to give an update on? Okay, great.
Fine.
So I can provide just a quick update on the allocations. So we did finally receive on May 13th, it was very late this year, we finally got our city's entitlement dollar amount from HUD. I don't have the number, let me just grab that number. It is $513,168, so 513,168. And so in total for the next fiscal year, we have about $653,000 to allocate amongst all of the different programs. There were some changes that took place related to the Downtown Streets program, which was unanticipated when we had met back in March with the HRC. And it's a little bit complicated and we're trying to see how it's going to kind of fall out, but basically it has to do with their CBDO status, Community-Based Development Organization status. And it's kind of come to light that perhaps they are not maintaining that status. And because of that, we actually cannot fund their program for this coming year. So we had to actually repost a revised annual action plan, which we did get up on the web on Friday. And I did send Minka the link so she can share that with the full HRC. So we did go through the process. So staff went through the process following the HRC's recommendation of how to allocate the funds. And I think we did a pretty good job following the direction that we received. And the only wrinkle that's come into play since the meeting was the situation with the Downtown Streets team. And those additional funds, or those funds for that particular program, are being recommended to put towards the 525 East Charleston project, the low-income housing project. And because of the timing of everything, there wasn't time available for us to search out another project or to find something else, but this seemed to be a good project to support with the additional funding. So that's my status update. And we're going to council on June 20th. And as soon as the report comes out, we'll make sure that we send the link to the HRC so you have the report and the details.
And could we sort of formalize that going forward? I'm sorry, Chair. Chair?
Yes, Minka, was that our time?
I think that was your 3 minutes because it includes staff answer, but I'm sure the chair will come back to you.
Yes, I will definitely come back.
Well, I just wanted to finish, and then you don't need to come back.
We'll come back to it. I just wanted to give each 3. Thank you. Commissioner Regier.
I had a couple of questions on the back to the, it seems like we're going from the city council having 2 meetings for community meetings to 1 meeting. And that's just, and I'm wondering why that kind of the city decided, staff thought that would be a good idea since they are the voting body on this. Claire, I just have a question on why it went from 2 meetings for the city council to 1 public meeting.
Yeah, let me just bring up my chart. So what we're trying to do is actually document the existing practice. So we actually haven't been going to the city council for 2 meetings every year for the programs. And but we have always been going to take the annual action plan every year. So it's not that we are trying to change the process. I'm just trying to document the existing procedure that we've already been doing. Okay. So we haven't been going to council twice for formal public hearings.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And the other question is that I thought that when we didn't make any recommendations, four commissioners approved what the staff. So we didn't make any recommendations for allocations. We approved so I'm wondering what those changes were, because we just approved, four commissioners approved what the staff brought on to the CBDG. So what were the changes? You said that you went with what we suggested, but I thought we just approved it.
Right, I can review that, but Minka, is this the appropriate time to be talking about this right now?
So she can just give a quick answer, but since the agenda item is specifically for the community participation plan.
Right. Okay.
So she can give you a quick answer. My recollection is that there was go ahead, Chair.
I want to just be absolutely, I just want to clarify something. The recommendations for Cdbg did not come from staff. Commissioner Everly and Commissioner Kraus reviewed it, and they made the recommendation, and we voted and went around on the dollars on the recommendation. So it wasn't, so I just want to be, because I don't want to disregard the hours of work that these commissioners put into this process.
Oh, I was on that committee, so I totally understand that. But I was just wondering, because she said that we made recommendations, and I was just wondering, we voted on, you're correct. So.
Okay, so I can share with the commission what the recommendation was. So it was to recommend supporting the the plan that was presented to you, but there were some additional modifications, and it was that that it was to put Project Sentinel first as a priority for funding. So that was a recommendation. And consider additional funding for Rebuilding Together Peninsula. So as part of the main motion, though, it was to allocate additional funds to projects within the public services category to match what they were receiving last year. So that was one of the things. And it was also to allocate any additional funds to the 525 East Charleston project. So sorry, I kind of did that a little bit backwards, but those were the recommendations from the HRC.
Thank you. Staff, time-wise?
That was the timer. I'm sorry if you heard that. So I can start for the next person again. And by the next meeting, the clerk's office has let me know we can do more of an internal clock. Otherwise, we're just learning to be in this room as a secondary place, and there's still some kinks we're going to work out. So I hope you will just humor me by my 2 and my 1 and the timer going off. So thank you.
Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, the beauty of going last or almost last in this is my questions have been answered. And basically, I mean, we just listened to small but important clarifications in the review process. And I'm fine with that. So good job. I get it. And that's it.
Thank you. I will yield my time to Commissioner Krause so she can answer a question.
Staff, all I would like to request, and thank you, Chair, is that we formalize when we're notified. If Commissioner Everly and I spent as much time as we did, I'd like to have a communication loop built into the process that you're laying out going forward. Because I'm not really good when I don't know what's happening. So it doesn't work well for me, and I don't think it would work well for the other commissioners.
So for clarification, can you just specify what you're requesting? Is it to be made informed when we prepare the council report and the final numbers, or what is it specifically you're trying to say?
Yes, and also when you got additional information on the downtown streets, tell us so we knew what was going on.
Right.
Because I would never want to misrepresent what we did. That's all.
Understood. And definitely, I think staff has also been trying to figure it out with downtown streets. So there definitely has been a little bit of work happening behind the scenes, trying to even figure out what's happening. Certainly, absolutely. We'll make sure the HRC is aware.
Thank you all so much. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion on the process piece. Is that what we needed?
Yes, I just want to, I'm going to share my screen so we can work on a motion together. So hold on. Okay, so I just want, so we're all on the same page as far as, so I just crafted this. You do not have to use this whatsoever. I was just trying to be prepared. But this motion would reflect the action that staff is asking you to make, but I will also be prepared to write whatever you would like me to.
We have somebody make a motion, please.
I'll go ahead and make the motion then. I'll move that the Human Relations Commission recommend the City Council adopt the proposed amendments to the Community Development Block Grant Citizen Participation Plan as reflected in Attachment A.
Okay.
Second.
And add the kind of things we talked about, if you could, Commissioner Everly.
Would you like to?
In
Well,
addition, well,
And so
add,
let me just clarify, Commissioner Krause. You would like the subcommittee that worked on the report that worked on the recommendations to receive the final report? Is that what you're looking
Yes.
for?
Yes.
Just the subcommittee or the full HRC, just so as I'm typing here.
I would like to go with just the subcommittee, because if there's no significant changes, the whole body doesn't need to know it.
That's right.
If it does, then they can make it an item. I just don't want to run into Brown Act stuff, Minka.
so
And
I
I'm
would
just
add,
Would you like to wordsmith it for me, Vice Chair?
that looks good, and, sorry.
That the
Okay,
CDBG receive
So
the,
after attachment A, and in addition, right, that the CDBG ad hoc subcommittee receive any updates and the final plan. Is that good, Commissioner
the
Krause?
final funding plan? Is that what you want me to write? The
Yes,
final funding plan or allocations?
the final allocation plan.
Does this reflect what you'd like me to put?
I'd
Yes.
like, well, and could we modify slightly, instead of saying any updates, say regular updates? So if something happens, we're told. So it's routinized. They're trying to set up a document of what we do. So I'm trying to add the language that lets it be regular communications, updates.
I think
I think Claire would like to
any
ask a
updates-
question.
I think that, wait, we have staff. Claire? Yes.
I was just going to share with the commission that it already is part of the citizen participation plan to provide updates to the HRC, like for the letting you all know that when we've got something going to council and sending you like the link to the report and that type of thing. So that's definitely an existing provision that we have in our citizen participation plan. Just wanted to let you know.
So this is already written, is what you're saying.
It's already in the plan to notify the HRC.
So like tonight would have been a time of notification, is according to what's currently in the plan, right?
Oh, I know. I mean, when we go to, like, we're planning for the city council meeting on June 20th. So once we have all of the information packet ready to go, we would make sure that the HRC has a copy of all of that for their information.
Okay. I think we're good. Yes, Commissioner Krause.
Oh, this is communication, I'm sorry to harp, to the subcommittee, that we have a regular communication loop when we're working with you as staff. That's different than notifying the whole HRC when they're going to council chair. Could you help me make my way through that?
Claire, is that a new hand or the same hand? That was. All right. In addition, the CDBG ad hoc subcommittee receive any updates and I'm struggling to find language that would be any more inclusive than the word any. I think by including the word any updates.
That's fine.
You've been like, that's my challenge. It's like, I don't, any is everything, right? So that's why I'm struggling to find anything else there.
It's fine. I was trying to use the word regular because that means we have a system in place to communicate back and forth.
But I think there is a feedback loop that unless there's something weird like us getting allocations late or downtown streets team having the governance issue. Like it usually, they're taking the packet and then going to City Hall. It's only when something comes up like this. So I think any would be a better than regular. Yes, Claire.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to, the idea that we're using the word Annie, it does make me think that we have to use our own discretion about, oh, does the HRC want to know about this and this? So I think we're going to need to kind of work this as we go to see if anything, hopefully we're going to meet your expectation as well as not create a whole extra set of tasks that we need to track for everyone.
Okay. Thank you. I think it's a good start. And if we have to update it next year, we can update it. All right. I will take a vote from the bottom of the alphabet. Chair Smith, aye. Commissioner Savage?
Aye.
Commissioner Regier?
Aye.
Commissioner Kraus?
Aye.
Vice Chair Everly?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Thank Claire. And what was it? The nice Maria?
Maria, yes.
Thank you both for your continued hard work through a complicated year with a lot of different ups and downs. And thank you for having fidelity to the plan that we voted on the last time. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. HRC, we get to the best part of the evening. We wrote a plan, we talked about a plan, we went back and forth on a plan, now we got to go work the plan. So staff, do we have a list of, do we have our plan that we can put on the board so we can assign some people, not assign, have people pick what they want to work on? Amen.
Yeah, just hold on. I was trying to work ahead to see, oh yes. I had to see where I knew I wrote it somewhere. So it was actually on the same, would you like to see the plan or you just want to see the subcommittees that we're looking for people for?
We're looking for I will go with the simple one. Let's go with
Okay,
subcommittee.
so let me just get the document back up that I just had, and I will go to that section. So what I have done is, you will see them right here. Would you like me to, is that a nice big size?
Yes, I would like the public, each year the HRC sits down at their retreat in February, and we do we put together what areas we want to tackle for the year. That being said, this year we got a little sidetracked because instead of coming right back and addressing who goes to what subcommittee and figuring that out, we went straight into the police chief search work. So this we will need to get 2 commissioners per item, and they will be working on these items as their sphere of belonging. Yes, Commissioner Savage.
Oh,
Well, I was, okay, go ahead.
no, go ahead. That was an error.
Okay.
I was just thinking, Chair, I know that for the renter protections, it's just the vice chair and I, so I'm not sure if you want to think at some of them, it may just be one person.
Yes, whoever needs to, whatever we need to allocate. So this is the part where we have to do the work. So at this point, I'll open public comment. Do we have any public comment? Staff?
I had to look, sir. So there are no hands.
Okay. Let's start from the top of the list then.
Okay, here we go.
Public safety, hate crimes. I know I was working on that, Commissioner Kraus. So we have Chair Commissioner Kraus. We have public safety others. Do we have anybody that wants to step in for that? Commissioner Savage. and Commissioner Everly. Belonging, I would like to do that. And would anybody like to join me on that? Or I can work with, yes, we got two. We'll go with Commissioner Kraus because Vice Chair has like two other big things she has to work on this year. Okay. Moving from pandemic to endemic response. Do we have two commissioners? Commissioner Savage, is that your hand?
Not my hand, but I'm not sure I understand it, but I'll be willing to be on the committee.
We have a whole description in our work plan. Commissioner Everly, do we have a hand?
I'm trying to think of all the ones that and then I'm doing renter protections after that.
Okay.
I think folks can look at the list once it's all done and.
Okay.
Thank you.
But yeah.
Renter
I
protection?
think, yeah.
Mhm.
And this is this, I'm sorry, just to clarify, the renter protection is the city council referral.
Yeah, this is the one that you and I have already been working on.
Okay, just clarifying. Thank
And
you.
that's the one I'd love to join you on because I am the renter along with the chair.
We have housing, homeless, and advocacy.
Where's Patty?
We have Commissioner Regier.
No, I just said I'm here. That's all. When she asked me where I was.
Oh, okay. You weren't on my scroll. I'm like, where is she?
All right, we can come back to that one. Climate change. Anybody would like to work with climate change?
Daryl and Michelle have their hands up. I don't know what that.
That was stuck from before.
Oh, I'm done.
Thank you.
I mean, I can do climate change if you need,
Thank you, Commissioner Kraus. Can we do?
but
We're looking at some different pieces there, so that's going to be a lot of research and figuring out next action steps. All right, let's go back to housing and homelessness. Do we have anybody who would like to volunteer for that? Now, I'm going to say this as the chair. We spent 5 hours and we spent a whole other meeting. There was a lot of pushing and pulling on what our priorities were. We got it down to this small list. Somebody was passionate because it made it on the list. Can we please have at least 1 or 2 people work with this? Because this is your list. I didn't pick the list.
Chair, why don't you ask who put it on the list?
I'm not going to do that. We have Commissioner, who put, was that a hand for who put it, or is that a hand for wanting to work it?
I thought I put on public health. I also thought we didn't have mental health in there at all.
Yeah, this is just a brief description. In the actual work plan, mental health is on there. Is that correct, staff?
I would have to go look at the larger list myself. These are just big topic areas, and there were several ones underneath it. Those were included in your packet. I can go over and grab a copy of it myself, but I'll go do that in a second.
why
So I did I don't remember if I advocated for the housing separate from the public health, housing, homelessness, and I did advocate for the climate change. I've done that every year.
Okay.
to answer Daryl's question.
Why don't we include mental health in the homelessness or in the pandemic response?
I do believe the mental health is included in the pandemic response.
It is included. I'm looking at it right now.
Cool.
I'm looking at it right now. All right. Know what?
Sorry, Commissioner Regier, if you want to work on that part of the mental health on the pandemic, then I'm happy to go over to climate change.
No, that's okay. I was just
Okay.
just nowhere on this public safety, nowhere was it saying mental health. That's how I remember it somewhere. I just couldn't remember where we had placed it. Because I don't think it was with the pandemic.
And
I think it was just-
homelessness, Patty?
I'm sorry, what?
This is, I would like to make a motion. We can always come back to it at a later date. We already have a lot here, and I'm willing to come back from summer break and pick it up in September and see if people want to pick up the homelessness or some of the other pieces. But we have more than enough to keep us busy. So what I would like to do is, and one of the things we do every meeting is review the plan. So I would like to get a motion to close it out at this moment, and then we will review at a later date. Does that make sense to everybody?
We just add revisions will be considered at a later date. Is that okay, Chair?
September.
Hold on, will be considered at, I'm having a hard time. I only have one screen tonight.
Yeah, I'm struggling with one screen too.
At a later date.
Thank you so much. I will make that motion. Can I have a second, please?
Yes.
So we have Chair Smith and Commissioner Kraus. We will start at the top of the alphabet. Vice Chair
Aye.
Eberly.
Oh, sorry. Aye.
Commissioner Kraus.
Aye.
Commissioner Regier.
Aye.
Commissioner Savage.
Aye.
Chair, aye. Thank you so much. All right. Staff, I believe you have something to talk
Yes,
about.
I just need to get my other screen back up. That's why I'm a little clumsy tonight. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is, so for the new commissioners, we, as you know, we have our His Rep grantees, and they are 16 organizations that are serving our community. So once in every 2 years, two things happen. One is that staff does a review of the contract with the grantees. So we go out, we look at how they're doing as far as meeting the goals and objectives of the contract. If there's any issues or corrections, we have those discussions. The other part of it is that the HRC commissioners go out, and I'll use an old-fashioned term and call it a social call or a social visit. So 1 to 2 commissioners go out to each of the agencies at this time that, you know, with social distancing and the comfort level of commissioners.
Minka?
Yes, sir.
I have to step away, so.
Okay. That's no problem. So at this point, we can do it that if commissioners feel more comfortable setting up a meeting to meet with program staff of an organization to get to know a little bit more about it via Zoom, that's fine. Or you can go out to an organization and see them in action, see the program in action if the organization is open to that. So what usually happens is outside of the meeting, I will just create a list of each of the organizations. We have usually what we have is we have a lead person and another person. So let's say Commissioner Savage is the lead person. She's interested in going to Life Moves. She's the lead person. And then Commissioner Regier says, I'd like to go to Life Moves as well. So she signs up as the second person, but Commissioner Savage would be the one who would contact Life Moves and say, hey, we're interested in coming. We'd like to do it in person. What would be some good days and time? We want to see like the food program in operation. And you set up that time to go to the organization. I would say I'd like to get this done by like late summer. So it's not anything you have to do this week or next. We try to do it no later than early fall, because in December, January, the new HISRAP applications go out. And we really don't feel like, we don't want to connect the selection process to this visit. We also want to make sure that each of the agencies have at least one person visit them, because if they apply again and the agencies that actually had a HISRAP, had a HRC commissioner visit them, they get recommended for funding, but then someone didn't get a visit and they're not recommended for funding because now all of a sudden you know more about this one agency. That wouldn't be fair. So again, so it's 16 agencies, up to 2 commissioners, and that's per Brown Act, to go and visit them in person or via Zoom with your comfort level or their comfort level. And it's a social visit. It's not, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? It's like, tell me about your program. We're funding this program. Can you tell me a little bit about it? So do commissioners have any questions about that?
I just wanted to say it's really a lot of fun and informative. I mean, I think Steve and I did it right before COVID. I mean, right during COVID, and we actually just talked to them on the phone because we couldn't. But it's really informative, and especially to find out what their needs are beyond just the grant. I mean, and what they're doing. I found it very rewarding.
Exactly. I mean, you're more than welcome to say, wow, you know, what are some emerging needs in your organization, or what are you really struggling with? So thank you for bringing that aspect of it, Commissioner Regier. Anybody else has a question? Okay, so I think I will send out this list, and then for transparency for the next meeting or the upcoming meeting, we'll let folks know who's going to what agency. But we will need to open it up for public comment. So I will see if there's any public comment about this. No. So Chair, commissioners have asked me some questions. I said I would get them the list, and at a future meeting kind of say who's going to where, and there were no public comments.
Okay. Did they ask the question about in person and not in person?
Yes, they can do either, depending on their comfort level or the comfort level.
All right.
Actually, I do have a quick question then based on that. If one commissioner wants to go in person and one wants to be on Zoom, is that okay?
That would be okay, for instance, if you're going somewhere and just talking, but if it involves, then someone has to, you know, you're walking around the courtyard at Life Moves and one has to carry around a computer, obviously, then it becomes a point where it's a kind of a burden. So I think, you know, each of you, let's be honest, each of you are going to have at least 3 or 4 visits. And it is a commitment on your part, but the HISRAP program is one of the major responsibilities of the commission. So I think before you know your second person, if there's a second person, you say to them, what are you most comfortable with? Let's call I'll call the agency and see what they're most comfortable with. And you can kind of go from there.
Some of them aren't really necessary to see anything. I mean, sometimes it's just meeting with the person, so
right,
nothing even to really see.
Right, and if you'd like me, you know, on the spreadsheet, I mean, I can maybe make a note of, like with with SALA, senior adult legal assistants, most of their work is on the phone. So if you talk to them on the phone, it's more than fine. But something like Dreamcatcher, seeing that program in action, might be really interesting. So I can you can make your own judgment, or I can kind of make some notes on the sheet as well.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you so much, Megan. Next on our agenda for this evening.
Oh, and I did wanted to add that Councilmember Stone did let me know, because of the change, he would do his best to be here, but he was double booked. So I want to let you know that it was not due to a lack of commitment to this commission.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We have commissioner reports. I know Commissioner Savage and Commissioner has a report for us. Commissioner Savage.
I do, yes. Well, Commissioner Kraus and I met with the Palo Alto Police Department, and this is what we talked about. We talked about first crime trends, continuing, and latest trend is they have crews now coming into Palo Alto to specifically target retail stores, and Stanford Shopping Center, Town and Country, University Avenue, and the crews are seeming to be more brazen and bold, and sometimes are even armed. So it's serious, and it's unfortunate. There have been 14 robberies so far this year, half of which were retail. But if you want to compare that to last year, there were 15 robberies, so in the same time frame. So we're about on par with last year. Next, we talked about budget. Budget increases mean that Palo Alto Police Department can hire additional officers. They want to hire 4 new sworn officers and 2 more dispatchers and 1 budget analyst. Before 2021, Police Department had 92 sworn officers, then COVID hit, went down to 79 officers. The hope is they will eventually get it back up to 84. And also, and I think we mentioned this once before, detectives there used to be 12 detectives several years ago. Now there are 4, only 4. Next, we talked about the police chief search. As you know, Police Chief Johnson is retiring. It will be in late July, I believe. And an open recruitment has begun for a new chief, and it is expected to be narrowed down to a few finalists next month in June. And the current assistant chief, Andrew Binder, will be named acting chief when Chief Johnson officially leaves. Next, we discuss Pert, which is the psychiatric emergency response team, where a police officer is paired with a social worker on mental health calls. And so far, the program has been successful. They're also partnering with county behavioral health. It's said to be making a significant impact on mental health response, and data will be released soon about this. We also spoke about hate speech. The Palo Alto Police Department continues to track hate crimes, hate incidents, and continues to encourage all community members to please report any kind of hate crimes or hate incidents, even if they're not sure if it qualifies for one. And the last thing we spoke about was encryption, radio encryption. It started in January of 2021 because confidential information such as name, address should not be broadcast on public airways. So in an effort to keep media and others informed on service calls, the department has created an interactive map which displays calls for service. The department is continuing to explore and improve ways to keep Palo Alto informed of any kind of police activities, and this is based on council's directions to do so. Meanwhile, SB 1000, that's Josh Becker's bill, is making its way, that's to unencrypt, is making its way through the legislature, and stay tuned, we'll see what happens. Commissioner Kraus, do you have anything to add?
No, you were inclusive. The only thing to add is that Josh Becker's bill has just passed another hurdle and is coming out of appropriations, which is the funding thereof of the activities in the bill.
Thank you. Commissioner Savage, do you have anything else, or was that a mistake?
That'll be it.
Thank you. All right. Commissioners, any questions? Thank you. Thank you so much for that thorough report. Any other commissioner reports? All right. Myself and Commissioner Kraus, we sat with staff to start the initial review of his RAP. This is more of a process review. There is a lot from purchasing department. We will be seeking feedback from prospective and current recipients as far as the process to make it, trying to make it more friendly for everybody involved. So it's going to be a long summer, but we're going to put a lot of effort into it. I was privileged to be the speaker at Lead Mountain View for their graduation. Lead Mountain View is a program that's done by the Chamber of Commerce that takes regular citizens, shows them all of the different parts of Mountain View, from the PD to shoreline to corporations to nonprofits. And it's a great program that I am hopeful we can highlight. We have a program similar to that in Palo Alto, and maybe we could take some of the tips and tricks from the Mountain View program, because the interesting thing I found out of that group is it's very diverse, it's younger, it has a lot of community interest, and that is how Mountain View has been able to get a lot of commissioners and new council members from different backgrounds engaged. And since belonging is a big part of what we do, I'm very interested to see how we can create that, how do they put it, that pipeline of civic leadership. So that is my commissioner report. Are there any other commissioner reports?
I was just going to mention, Minka already mentioned, I think, but Minka and I met with Pam over the rental protections, and we have a couple of other meetings coming up. But I do not think we're going to be able to report on it for the June meeting. It's not going to happen. So just stay tuned for our first meeting after the summer break. And we're hoping to have a presentation for the commission. And Commissioner Regier and I both attended the Mayfet parade. And it was great to see so many people out there and seeing this tradition come back and come alive in Palo Alto again. So that was great. That's it.
Thank you for doing that.
All right, staff report.
Yeah, I have a short one. Hold on. I will just let you know that the next deadline for the Emerging Needs Fund is June 2nd. So at that time, I will, if I get applications, I will call the subcommittee together, excuse me, to review those applications. That's the last one for this fiscal year. I will also, call your attention. It was on the agenda. We now have, when they are, when we have one, we will put informational reports to the agenda. So today there was one that went over the recruitment and selection of mediators for the Palo Alto Mediation Program. And that is really what I had as far as my staff report.
Wow. Yes, Commissioner. Okay. You're muted.
Mika, I have a couple of questions about the emerging needs.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we ever got a list of who got them this year and how much money's left.
Well, you as a subcommittee will. I'd have to think off the top of my head. I believe there is at least $30,000 left in the fund. I'd have to look.
But does that money, if we don't use it, since we didn't get any last, does that go into the, or do we just lose it? Does it
Yeah, the council allocates, as far as in the draft budget, council has allocated another 50,000.
Okay.
So it's, you lose what's left over, but then there's a new allocation. So it doesn't get added to next year's allocation. It's just $50,000.
Because I was just wondering, because they don't get, I'm just thinking because you can't get it again if you've already had it. So I don't know how to reach out to people. I don't know who.
You can get an allocation if you're approved for one every 2 years.
Every 2 years, as I'm saying. So I don't know who did it this year. I don't know
Right.
who to reach out to.
Right. You can contact me offline.
Okay.
I have a spreadsheet. There's about 45 agencies that are on that spreadsheet that I've sent it out to. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Kraus.
Chair, can I take a moment and tell the commission the results of our resettlement activities, which will be 2 lines? We've now resettled 10 Afghani men, women, family members, a family of 3 children, 1 mother, and a husband who is a doctor and a leading gay activist. And we've gotten 5 other men that would have been put to death for merely being homosexual. They have gotten out. 1 has formally resettled into Canada. We should have the family and the husband hopefully in the month of June. And we're actively working with the US and the Canadian governments. So it's been a big victory. And we look forward to doing more and more. And we're also monthly funding to the members' families that could not come with them. So we pay their expenses. So they have food and clothing and rent until we can find a way to get them out of the borders. Things have gotten worse in Afghanistan. So we're going to formalize this and do some real heavy lifting in terms of monies raised. Because they've gotten worse for women and they're abysmal for people that are gay and different.
Commissioner Kraus, can you indicate that which organization, and that's a personal project of yours? Because people listening might get the impression that that's a HRC effort.
No, it's not, and I wanted to be very clear about that. This is a group of like-minded people who came together from the tech industry and the social impact industry. There were 4 of us that came together. I'm one, 2 gay activists that are in the social impact that are brothers, and a 3rd executive placement retiree social activist. And we've done this outside of HRC, and we look forward to keeping you informed. I personally worked on a woman that was stuck in Vietnam, having made it out of Myanmar. And it's just, we're working with congressional members and doing as much as we can to give people mental services, English classes, and to be each of them have PTSD. So we've had huge amounts of psychiatrists and psychologists donate their time. So it's our venture, my venture, and it's called the Freedom Project.
Thank you for your continued work. It's so needed. Commissioner, thank you all for your good work. I know many of you are extended way beyond the bounds of the HRC, and thank you for the work you're doing in the HRC. I want to encourage each of you to have a good Memorial Day weekend. Yes, Minka?
We have tentative agenda items yet, Chair.
I was gonna skip that. I don't have anything yet.
Oh.
We'll come back to that. Because I needed to find out about staff and the holidays and the rental program. So I'll hold it. If you have any items you want to add to the agenda, please reach out to myself and Minka so we can make sure we get it on the agenda. And thank you all. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Hopefully you have good time with friends and family, and remember those on this Memorial Day. Thank you all. Have a
And
good
get well, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay well.